Hello, everyone. Welcome to our presentation. Today, we're going to explore the power of base words and endings. It's all about mastering spelling. I'm excited to take you on this journey. We'll uncover some secrets of spelling that can make learning easier and more fun. So let's get started and see what's ahead. Let's take a closer look at what a base word actually is. A base word is essentially the most basic form of a word. It's the part of the word that can stand alone and still carry its own meaning. Think of it as the foundation of a word, the core that doesn't need anything else to make sense. For example, the word govern is a base word. It's a complete word on its own and clearly conveys the idea of ruling or managing. Similarly, play is a base word. It's simple, complete, and easy to understand. The word run is another example. It's straightforward and has its own meaning without any additions. And even the word happy is a base word because it expresses a complete idea, feeling good or pleased. Recognizing these base words is key because they form the building blocks for understanding more complex words, which ties into our overall theme of understanding the unbreakable core of language. So, what exactly is an ending? An ending, also called a suffix, is a letter or a group of letters that you add to the end of a base word. It might seem simple, but these endings can really change the way we understand a word. Now, what does an ending actually do? Well, when you add an ending, it can change the meaning of the word or even the part of speech it belongs to. For example, a word that starts as a verb might become a noun, or a noun might turn into an adjective. It's like giving the word a new role or a new identity. Let's look at a real-world example to make this clearer. Take the base word govern, which is a verb. If we add the ending meant, it becomes government. Now, instead of being an action, it's a noun, something you can talk about as a thing or a concept. So by just adding that suffix, we've changed both the meaning and the part of speech. This is a really important concept because understanding how endings work helps us see how words can be transformed and expanded in our language. It's a key part of mastering vocabulary and understanding how words function in different contexts. All right, let's talk about spelling rule 1. When E must go. This rule is all about knowing when to drop the silent E at the end of a word. The key point here is that if a base word ends with a silent E, and you're adding an ending that starts with a vowel like eing, eed, ubble, or tion, then you need to remove that E. For example, take the word promote. When we add tion, we drop the E and get promotion. Another example is revise. When we add eing, we drop the E and it becomes revising. Let's look at some more examples to practice. Caring comes from care plus eing, hoped from hope plus eed, making from make plus eing, baked from bake plus eed, usable from use plus ubble, and creation from create plus ion. This rule helps us spell words correctly when forming different tenses or related words, and it's an important part of understanding how to spell base words with endings that begin with vowels. It connects to the overall theme of mastering spelling patterns to improve our writing skills. Now let's look at spelling rule 2, which is the Y to I switcheroo. The main idea here is that when a base word ends with a consonant followed by a Y, we usually change that Y to an I before adding an ending, but there's an exception to keep in mind. If the ending is eing, then we don't change the Y. For example, take the word defy. When we add e's to make it plural or third-person singular, it becomes defies. Notice how the Y changes to an I. The same thing happens with rely, which becomes relies. Now let's practice with some more examples. With happy, if we want to make it into a comparative like happier, we change the Y to an I. With try, when we add ed to form tried, the Y turns into an I. For carry, when we add Ys, it becomes carries. And with worry, adding ed makes it worried with the same Y to I rule. Remember, the key point is that the Y at the end of a word usually becomes an I before adding endings like e's or ed, but not when the ending is eing. This rule helps us spell words correctly and keeps our writing consistent. Now let's talk about spelling rule 3, which I like to call double the fun, or the 1-1-1 rule. So when do we need to double the final consonant? Well, it happens under specific conditions. First, the base word must have only one syllable. For example, words like sit, run, or permit. Second, the word must follow the consonant-vowel-consonant pattern, or CVC. That means the ending has a consonant, then a vowel, then another consonant. And third, the ending we add begins with a vowel, like ing, eed, or n. All of these conditions have to be true at the same time for us to double the final consonant. For example, with admit, when we add ing, it becomes admitting. Because admit is one syllable, follows the CVC pattern, and the ending ing starts with a vowel, we double the final T. The same goes for permit, which becomes permitting. Sit becomes sitting, and run becomes running. So remember, when all these conditions align, doubling the consonant helps keep the pronunciation consistent and makes spelling easier. That's the key to applying this rule correctly in your writing. All right, now it's time for an interactive challenge. Let's put our skills to the test with Find the Base. I'll give you some words, and your task is to remove the ending to discover the original base word. First up, we have benefited. Think about what the core word might be without the ending. Next, industries. What's the base there? Then, conveying. Can you see the root? Moving on, equipped. What would the simple form be? And finally, involvement. What's the base word hidden inside? Take a moment to think about each one. Can you find all 5? This exercise isn't just about the answers. It's about recognizing how words are built and how they relate to the overall theme of language and communication. So give it a try and see if you can find all 5 bases. All right, let's take a look at this fun interactive challenge. The goal here is to add an ending to each verb to turn it into a noun. This is a great way to see how words can change form and meaning, which is really useful for expanding our vocabulary and understanding language patterns. For the first question, we have commit. If we add the right ending, it becomes commitment. Think about what you promise to do. That's your commitment. It's about dedication and a promise to follow through. Next, we have cooperate. When we add the correct ending, it turns into cooperation. This is what we get when people work together, sharing effort and ideas to achieve a common goal. The third one is involve. By adding the right suffix, it becomes involvement. This word describes being part of something, participating actively, or engaging in an activity. Then there's act. When we add the right ending, it transforms into action. Action is all about doing, something you perform or carry out. Finally, read. Add the correct suffix and it becomes reader. A reader is someone who reads books, which ties nicely into the overall theme of learning and communication. So this challenge isn't just about adding endings. It's about understanding how these small changes can create new words with important meanings. It really highlights the power of language and how we can use it to express different concepts in clear, impactful ways. All right, let's dive into interactive challenge 3, spelling detective. Here, your task is to combine the base word with the ending to complete each sentence. But watch out, there are spelling changes you need to pay attention to. This is a great way to practice not just spelling, but also understanding how words change when we add different suffixes. For the first question, we're looking at the word benefit and the suffix ed. Think about whether it benefited or benefited. The correct form is benefited, because we add ed to a regular verb. In the second question, Juan relies on his mom. The base word is rely, and the ending is wise, which is used for words like rely when we talk about he, she, or it in the present tense, so it becomes relies. Next, we have computer and the suffix ing, which turns it into computing. This shows an ongoing action or skill, emphasizing that computer programming is a valuable skill. Finally, the last question is about the lab. The base word, equip with ed, becomes equipped, indicating that the lab is already set up with the latest microscopes. Now I want to challenge you. Can you solve all 4 mysteries? These exercises help reinforce proper spelling and understanding of word forms, which are essential for clear communication and accuracy. Keep practicing, and you'll be a spelling detective in no time. All right, now let's move on to our interactive challenge 4, which focuses on synonyms and spelling. This activity is designed to help you understand how different words can have similar meanings, but also how their spellings are important. On this slide, you see a list of 5 spelling words, and next to them, 5 definitions of synonyms. Your task is to match each spelling word with its correct synonym definition. For example, the word permit is most closely related to allowance or permission, which is option E, benefit, refers to a profit or interest. So that matches with option D, revise, means to update or modify, which is option C, program, is a schedule or plan, fitting with option B. And finally, equipped means prepared or qualified, which corresponds to option A. The key here is to think about the meaning of each word and its synonym, so you can correctly write your answers as one with the number of the matching synonym, and so on. This activity not only helps improve your vocabulary, but also sharpens your understanding of spelling and meaning, which are essential for effective communication. So, take a moment, analyze the words and their definitions, and get ready to match them correctly. Let's do a quick review of your spelling toolkit. First, we have the base word, which is the most basic form of a word that can stand alone and still make sense. Then, there's the ending, or suffix, which is a letter or a group of letters added to the end of the base word to change its meaning or its part of speech. Now, let's talk about some important rules. The first one is to drop the silent E when the base word ends with an E that isn't pronounced, and the ending begins with a vowel. For example, if we add tion to the word promote, we drop the E and get promotion. The second rule is to change Y to I when the base word ends with a consonant plus Y. So, if we add E's to rely, we change the Y to an I and get relies. The third rule involves doubling the final consonant. If the base word follows a CVC pattern, meaning consonant, vowel, consonant, and the ending begins with a vowel, we double that final consonant. For example, admit becomes admitting when we add ing. These rules are really helpful for making sure our spelling is correct as we add different endings. They connect directly to our overall goal of mastering spelling patterns to improve our writing skills. You are a spelling master. Congratulations on your achievement. Today, we've celebrated how much you've learned and improved in spelling. You've gained the tools to build and spell hundreds of new words, which is a huge accomplishment. Remember, practice is key, so keep looking for base words and endings in everything you read. This will help you become even more confident and skilled. Keep exploring the world of words, and don't forget, your hard work is paying off. Go forth and conquer the world of words.